Mike, I'm going to fire that off.
Yay. I see you.
The internet functions. Huzzah.
Yes, finally.
Let's see if I can turn my media volume down again so I don't have that incident that we had before.
Okay, so I just want to make sure that this is the correct link. And okay, here we go. We got Munchie in the house already. Got Kia, I guess it's Moloko, our mod, Square, Heath, Purple Plex Sage, Rashid.
Purple Plex Sage is pretty cool. Oh yeah, there it is. PhD podcast with Mr. Mobile with 3 exclamation points.
Hey, you know, it's funny. I went to school for writing, and
oh, nice.
One of my professors said you only get 5 exclamation points per career.
That's a really, really good piece of guidance. I like that.
But you know, it's on the internet. I figure it doesn't count.
Well, on the YouTube, yeah, on YouTube, all bets are off.
Yeah, exactly. Oh,
all right, and I think where's our show notes? All right, there we go.
Excellent.
Alrighty.
Okay, we got 38 people in here already.
Boom.
All right.
Watching us fumble with technology once.
El Jefe reviews. Awesome.
There's the live. Okay. I'm gonna share. I'm gonna grab that link and share it.
Awesome.
I'm actually just gonna. I'm gonna thread it up. Reply to the other one.
Nice.
Twitter.
Good evening, everybody. But we got guys from across the pond here. Life of Tech from across the pond. We call him the British MKBHD because this stuff is just as crispy.
Nice. It's like 3 a.m. over there, isn't it?
He's up all the time, man.
That's awesome. That's dedication. I like that.
Life of Tech is a good guy, Roger. Yeah, he's a good guy.
All right. And we're live. Come hang. Exclamation point. Eat it, Twitter.
Yeah.
Now I'm going to close Twitter because I'll be distracted all night if I'm done for that.
Yeah, that's how it
Your
works.
phone must be all going off all the time there, Michael.
Oh, man. I turned off those notifications. That's like the first thing I did. I was like, well, that's probably not something I need to be.
I have certain people I have on notification, and I noticed the weeks that I turn them off are not as stressful.
Yeah, they're real quiet, aren't they? It's kind of nice when that happens.
I love those people to death, but yeah, I got to turn them off sometimes.
Yeah.
I put a couple of people on notifications just when I was at VidCon. There were a couple of people that I thought were like, oh, I want to know what they're up to. And then I was like, no, this is annoying.
No, in fact, this is no way to live.
I was like, I don't need to know all that. I'm still like a Twitter noob for the most part because I just, I don't know. I wasn't an early adopter of the Twitter. It took me really like 8 years to get there.
The Twitter.
It's okay. We're happy to have you on the Twitter.
Yeah, see, it's
no vowels.
I like to joke that I'm an old guy, but
you're a wizard.
Yes. According to some, I'm a 203-year-old wizard, but
that's true.
I don't know.
That's the tricky part. You know, you got if you guys are like me, you got used to being the young guy around, like talking about tech, you know, a while ago, and like, oh, you nerdy kids, and you're into your radios and stuff. And then, you know, something happened, like a decade passed, and suddenly I'm hanging out at press events, and I'm like, hey, you guys want to go to a bar? And like 6 out of the 10 people around me are like, they're not going to let us in. I'm like 19. I'm like, oh, well, okay.
Yeah.
I'm the old guy now.
I basically like, so when I was in bands, the last band I was in, I was the youngest person. And
nice.
And I was like 28, 29 at the time. so it was like, okay, I'm the youngest person in the band. That's cool. Everybody else has got all this experience that I can help me out. And now, like, there's no way I'm not the oldest person in anything that I do.
I'm afraid to ask, Mr. Mobile, how young are you? If you want to give us a range?
Yeah, no, I'm at least 22, right? We can all agree on that.
Yeah.
I'm not 40 yet. But you know, I'm getting close to that neighborhood. I'm looking at it as I approach it on the, you know.
I think you and I are close then. Okay.
Yeah.
I think you and I are very close. This is all from marriage and kids.
Nice. Oh, it's very distinguished though.
People actually respect me now.
I crossed that 40 threshold more than a half a decade ago at this point.
What?
And yeah,
I would not be able to tell.
well,
You know what? You're only as old as you feel. And today I feel like I'm 12. So
I just moved yesterday, so I feel like I'm 82.
Oh man, yeah, moving, not one of life's great pleasures.
Yeah, it was a 2-hour, um, it was a 14-hour day,
Oh,
and we were only moving down the street.
this was like today or
Yesterday.
yesterday?
Yeah.
Oh God, man. I was gonna say you're a real champ. If that was today, I would not be anywhere near a podcast rig.
No, it's and I'm using my MacBook webcam because
Me too.
yeah, it's not terrible if you get the light right. Like I had to turn this light way down.
are
so
you
that
using
it's
a
glass,
MacBook or a hot MacBook?
it's a 2015 MacBook Pro.
Oh, you're still using the one with the useful things like ports.
Yeah,
Yeah.
There you go.
it's actually my job computer, my work computer, and I actually had the 2017. I was really pissed off because I got it 3 weeks before the new one came out, and then some stuff happened with the move where we needed some extra cash, and so I had to get rid of that. And
No. If you were going to sell one of them, that was the one to sell.
Yeah.
I think you made the right call. TBH. I'm on the 17 right now. That's what's giving me my connection to this cast. And you know, I mean, the touch bar hasn't frozen up in the middle of a volume change yet, so we're doing okay.
That's
It works.
I'm using a 2017 and I received my hot 2018 yesterday. It's literally still sitting in the cardboard box, like from FedEx,
Really?
because I haven't decided. But then today's announcement came down, which I think we're going to talk about.
Yeah.
And now I'm like, I want to leave the podcast. And no, I'm just kidding. But I'll open it later. Maybe we'll see.
yeah.
We'll see.
So we got people in the chat. Malako is tweeting things all over the place. It's awesome,
Being the man.
as always. So should we just begin?
Yeah, I
Yeah.
think it's been a while since I've been on a Hangouts on air, so I will say that like I think guests don't get to see the live comments, right? Or are you guys watching them on YouTube?
If you go to the actual view
YouTube
page,
channel.
you
Gotcha.
can. I think you can pop them out.
All
Yeah.
right, I'll do that on my BlackBerry.
Oh,
On your what? Kidding.
talk about old school.
Well,
I
yeah,
got a soft spot as a Canadian for BlackBerry. So yeah.
getting old is new again.
I know. I had the Priv for a while.
Oh yeah, you
And-
could heat your house with that thing.
Yeah, I did like having the keyboard, but the whole thing about just the way that it ran was not optimum.
Snapdragon 808 and the overburdened Android build didn't
No.
make you happy. Weird.
No. One thing I did like though was the all the BlackBerry apps that made things like a BlackBerry,
Yeah.
which my wife had a BlackBerry back in the day, but I don't think I ever did. Closest I came was a Palm Pilot.
Yeah.
That
See,
was-
without that crucial nostalgia tie-in, these things become a lot less worth the money for those of us who buy for reasons that are not practical.
Yeah. Well, here I'm gonna go. I'm gonna do the intro, and we're just gonna go and look at these questions that we have and all that kind of stuff. And people in the chat, we're gonna talk amongst ourselves. You know, we may look over there and see, but then we're gonna do a little Q&A after. So we'll have a little bit of time left over. I'll be sure not to talk too much, which is something that I do. So, okay, so here we go in 3, 2, 1. Hey there, friends on YouTube out there in podcast land. This is Jason, Painfully Honest Tech. The podcast so honest it hurts. I still haven't figured out this intro. If you are listening or watching at some later date, then you missed the live show. But that's okay. You can come back and see us mostly on Tuesdays. And, subscribe to myself and follow us on Twitter and all that stuff that they tell you to do out there in the internet. So really excited today. This is one of the things that I really wanted to do. I wanted to find some way to begin conversations, not just with the folks that were kind of like, at my level, but have conversations with people at all different levels of the YouTube tech game. And so now today we have Michael Fisher, the Mr. Mobile, with us, and we're gonna do just that. We're gonna kind of talk, from your vantage point as someone who's been doing this for quite a while, and then Zach and myself from our own, and see where that takes us.
I love it. That sounds like a great plan to me. Thank you for having me on, guys. I'm really I'm happy to be hanging late in the studio talking tech with y'all.
Oh, with the Mr. Mobile mug.
Oh,
Jason,
yes.
we all have our own
Skillfully
mugs.
deployed merch. Yeah, we do. Look at
we all have our own mugs.
And I just have this mason jar with Diet Cherry 7-Up in it.
I think that's a cooler glass than either of ours, but I don't know. I love your mason jar, man.
Yeah,
I'm just kidding. Zach, your logo looks great on that mug.
Thank you. I didn't design it, but I'll take credit for it.
of course.
You know what? Fun fact: I didn't design mine either, but I did decide on which of the 6 that I liked.
Yeah.
Okay.
I did design mine, but
It's just a
Nice.
bunch of text.
Somebody had to step up.
well, no, it's that's sort of my way of doing things. It's like, oh yeah, I could like pay somebody to do it and all that kind of stuff, and wait for somebody to finish, and
I could just go ahead and do it myself.
Yeah, I see people making fun of the mason jar for moonshine and stuff. I don't know. Maybe everybody doesn't know that I am actually from West Virginia.
Oh, wow. I didn't know that at all.
Yeah.
That's what it is. I've been trying to figure out why your dialect is familiar to me forever. And, we have a guy on the Android Central team, Jerry Hildenbrand, and that's what it is. You guys do not have identical voices by any means, but there is enough similarity that it's been just giving me fits.
Okay.
For
so
weeks.
Problem solved. I'm from northern West Virginia, so it's not the southern West Virginia. It's the drawl is much thicker down there. But I grew up in a college town with a lot of professors' kids, and I've been a singer since I was 8 years old. So I think I stripped away some of it, but.
Definitely. Yeah. You're much closer to standard American, as we theater kids used to call it.
Exactly.
But,
and I'm from the Great White North.
He tries not to say the things that we make fun of Canadians for.
Canada, or with America's hat.
Oh, like the I apologize thing.
Sorry. What?
Yeah. What?
Yeah. Exactly.
Just to clarify, our milk is in cartons where I live. It's in bags out east. I don't live out east. I live out west.
I haven't heard of the bags of milk thing.
I think in Ontario they have in bags of milk and things like that. And
what is
disturbing?
Yeah, what is the usefulness of bags? Are they like plastic bags?
Yeah, like they're plastic, and they go into like this plastic sleeve with a handle, and then you cut the corner of it, and you can. We had it for a while out here out west, then we just said forget it.
It's like a bag of wine. It's like if you cut open a box.
No, this is worse. It looks like a bag, like just a bag. Like, it's bad.
That seems like maybe too much work for milk.
It is. It is. We just went back to cartons, mostly because you can see kids' pictures better on there and stuff like that.
Of course,
true.
The reason here. Okay, this is what happens. I talk too much. So the kid who started the whole milk can, kids on the milk jug
carton thing.
Yeah. So the first milk carton kid was this kid named Johnny Gosh, and he was from West Des Moines, Iowa. He was doing his newspaper route, and one morning he just went out to do the newspaper route, totally disappeared. And he's been missing ever since, although his mother says that he's been in touch with her. But the whole theory is that he was taken into child sexual slavery stuff.
Sure.
But we don't know exactly. But he was the first milk carton kid, and they actually found out after quite a while of putting kids on milk cartons that it didn't help.
It was an utterly ineffective solution.
Yeah. It was, so yeah, that's my Iowa trivia. I'm sure I'll come up with some other trivia later on.
Vanishing Iowans and Canadian bags of milk. Things I didn't expect to be talking about in the first 10 minutes of this podcast. I like
this. Is only our second time together. It's just going to get worse as time goes on. I can't wait to look back a year from now.
Yeah.
If Jason allows me to go that far with him.
At some point, it'll just be like, well, maybe we'll talk about tech.
I mean, yeah. We got way off topic last week, definitely, but it was fun. It was fun. Oh, hopefully the audience, the people that are returning, hopefully you guys did your assignments, which were you either had to watch Rain Man or Born on the 4th of July. I was told to watch Grease, and I watched it, and I hated it.
What?
But you know what? John Travolta's hair made up for it all.
Okay, I guess that's all right. But yeah, Grease is like a classic. I used to get up on my little work table as a kid and sing all the Grease songs.
Hate's a strong word. I disliked it.
Where do you come down on Grease?
I have never seen it, and it is. I don't think I ever will, because there is no possible way for it to live up to the hype at this point. I had a good friend, my best friend in college, had never seen Ferris Bueller's Day Off. I hounded him into watching it finally, and he kind of watched it. He was like, "Yeah, it's fine." And I was like, "Oh, okay, well, you've had 20 years of hype. If you'd seen it with the rest of us when we were 9 or whatever, it would have been great for you."
There was a moment there. John Hughes was speaking for a generation.
Indeed.
So
John Hughes movies can't go wrong. Yeah.
All right, so maybe we should turn away from the rambling that I tend to do and get down to the questions, the topics of the day. So we're expecting amazingly astute observations from you, Michael.
No problem. I had prepared for almost 35 seconds, so I'm ready.
You should be fine.
I've seen how you prepare, man. It's very impressive.
Yeah.
All right. So the first thing that I wanted to talk about is this MacBook Pro, the i9, egg cooker thing that they got going on. Like, what are your thoughts initially, and what about the news that's come out, I guess, here in the past few days as well?
Here's the thing. Were we online when we were talking about what MacBooks we were using? Was that like a second ago?
We were offline.
Yeah, I think it was just before we went live.
Yeah. I mean, I'm on this 2017, and I bought it I bought it mainly because my 15 died, and I didn't want to. And the 18 solves none of the problems that the 17 introduced. I wasn't expecting Apple to walk back its stance on ports and consigning us all to these dongles that I'm literally looking at right now to make my audio interface work. I didn't expect Apple to walk back the touch bar, which continues to get in my way much more than it ever helps me out. And I imagine at some point during this show, the volume control will freeze, because it always does. And then, I've also had blown speakers on this one. I have some kind of weird electrical problem with it as well. Like, it's that's probably it's probably because this is a Lemon, but then you've got all the ones with the busted keyboards. Anyway, I had no interest in spending used car money or new car money on a new MacBook.
Right.
It's going to share the same defective design. Not defective, a design which I do not appreciate almost at all. So no, I kind of stayed away from a lot of it until the reports started coming out about the throttling issue,
Right.
Which, as of today, there's taken a new twist. So I don't know. Someone explained to me first what the clocking issue exactly was, because I think I get it. I think it just there was so much throttling that you might as well not have had a Core i9 in there, right?
Yeah, it was basically like, so the first time I saw benchmarks was in Dave Lee's video. And his benchmark showed that it was actually throttling down below its base clock speed.
Right.
Which, to me, it would be a problem.
Sure.
And so I guess now I watched some of Louis Rossman's video that came out, I think yesterday, maybe the day before, where he was talking about it's actually what is it, VRC or VRM, or I'm blanking on what part it is, but that's like, I guess, what tells it's like an in-between part from voltage. I'm not a computer technician, so
got it. No, yeah, I get where you're going.
But that's an even worse problem than underclocking, because you can't control, you can't fix if it's not getting the right voltage.
Voltage regulator module is what that stands for.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then the information came out today saying Apple's saying it's a software glitch, and then they'll issue an update, and everything should be back to normal, or you should be getting the speed you expect. So I know, for example, one person I've been paying attention to, especially his Twitter feed and everything like that, and he released his second video today, Jonathan Morrison. He's been doing a lot of really in-depth and everything like that. So now he's got to basically go back and do all those tests again, right?
Sure.
And,
Right.
So,
but I think, you know, that's a really positive thing, because we haven't seen this in the past. I think it was Austin Evans who was tweeting just earlier today about how, like, back when Bendgate first happened, you know, Apple's response to that was like, "What? You're, you know, no, that problem doesn't exist." And now, you know, the company's stance is, okay, we acknowledge there's a problem and we'll fix it. Whether or not they're able to do that, whether or not they're being fully truthful about whether they can fix it, all of that is kind of irrelevant for my purposes. It's just really nice to see a company saying, "Thank you for calling this to everyone's attention." But now we're going to address it. We're not going to treat it like it doesn't exist. We're not going to dismiss it. We're not just going to stonewall you like companies like Apple may have done in the past, you know?
Well, the thing that's crazy, I mean, to me, this is like, to think that this company who just got a, you know, just implemented a return or a fix policy for the keyboards, right?
Mm-hmm.
That it's a $400 repair normally. And now they have this, but this is also the company that said you're holding it wrong.
Right. Right. And it's cool to see that evolution in thinking, you know, within Apple, for all the things that I wish they would do differently. It's nice to see the company changing, I think, for the better in that regard.
Right. Yeah. I mean, I
so are
guess,
we beginning to see, like, kind of maybe one of our good friends, John Prosser, said this is not the same Apple we are used to seeing now. True, they haven't gone out on a stage and said, "Hey, we messed up." I mean, who knows? Maybe this September they'll do that. I highly doubt it.
Yeah.
But I've never seen a press release this quickly within. How long has the new MacBook been out now? 2 weeks, and they've already acknowledged. Okay, they obviously watched the videos. They've obviously done some further testing of their own. They've come out and acknowledged, "Hey, we know of the issue. Here's a software fix, and now we're going to see if that fixes it." And this is the quickest that I know of that Apple has ever kind of turned around, right?
well, for me though, it's like, okay, you can look at this two ways. You can either be cynical about it, or you could look at it as like an evolution, which,
Sure.
you know, the cynical side would be maybe they're just screwing up so bad so often they don't have any other choice at this point.
I don't know. It's a question of how closely public perception is tied to Apple's ability to make money, right? Because if
Right.
you travel in our circles, like, you do not have to go far to find someone complaining about something Apple has done, because we all have our opinions. And
Oh yes, I've made many videos about that.
right, yeah, you know, and me, I haven't made a lot of videos about it, but I tweet a lot about how I hate this. I really don't like this machine. But you know, that the iPhone, the whatever, and then it almost becomes this trap, right? Where if you're like me, you're like, surely many other people share these opinions. But then you go out into the real world and you're like, everyone seems to still love their MacBooks, and everyone seems to still love spending lots of money at the Apple Store. And oh, what do you know? They're still making more money than most nations.
Yeah,
So,
exactly. They're their own small country.
yeah.
It's that's the thing. It's hard to know, because I think that a lot of people, okay, we've had this argument about who is the average consumer and is an Apple consumer the average consumer, and blah blah blah. So, not getting into that again.
Mhm.
How many people would know if their MacBook was messed up in the way that the i9s are messed up if they were not buying it for these specific uses?
Yeah, that's a really good question, because I think if I had bought one and I was not, you know, I don't do these. The biggest testing I'll do in a laptop review is like a hard drive write speed. That's as technical as I'll
Right.
get, you know, because it's not really my thing.
What do you use to edit, Michael?
I use Final Cut Pro,
Okay,
which is
so there you
the
go.
exclusive reason I'm still on the
Yeah.
MacBook,
Yeah,
because I
very
love Final Cut Pro. For
Mhm.
everything mean I say about Apple in my life, Final Cut Pro is just so much better than Premiere for me that I love
The
it. But
comment
anyway,
section here is going to blow up in a second. Go on.
sure, that's true. Yeah. No idea how badly I want to use like a Surface Book 2 or like
Mhm.
any of the other awesome PCs I have in this studio, but I can't because I love Final Cut. Where was I going with this?
Yeah.
Oh, I'm not sure that I would be able to tell that if the i9 was limiting itself, like in my
Right.
usage.
Because Final Cut is somewhat optimized if that's what you want to use. I guess that's the choice word for that hardware, correct?
Yeah. Well, because I don't think it runs on this.
And that's the exact reason why I picked up my 2017 MacBook in April after I literally melted my Asus ZenBook Pro using the software that I use for 4K editing and everything. Okay.
Damn.
And the only reason I went to that is because I had to have a laptop, and it was a choice of, do I go back to a Windows and all the problems and all the headaches, or do I just get something that works well with software? And I walked into an Apple store in the first time in like 4 years. I'm surprised I didn't burst out in flames, but I mean, that's because it just works, right? And I think that goes back to what you said there, where it just works so well together, right? So
yeah. So my producer sits 10 feet away from me, and he uses Premiere.
Okay.
And I'm not saying I never have problems with Final Cut. I do. I've talked about it. It's whatever. Every piece of software has problems, but he much more frequently will. Activity will happen in the corner of my eye, and I look over, and he's throwing something across the room and just leaving.
Right.
I'm like, didn't autosave like it was supposed to, did it? He's like, no, it crashed and lost it.
The funny thing about the autosave, like, it took me a while to figure out that it was autosaving, but you actually had to manually go back in the folder and
find the autosave.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was a revelation that made me feel like an idiot.
Happens to the best of us.
Yeah. But I mean, that's the thing for me. I really wanted to get. I was so ticked off that I bought it. I bought the 17 after 3 weeks later they released the 18, but after all this stuff started to come out, I was like, okay, maybe I'll just let this play itself out.
Sure. I mean, I think that's smart for a lot of different pieces of tech. I mean, every time there's a new OS 10 update, I'm like, I've had to teach myself to not jump early on it because there's invariably some stuff wrong. And when you're using these machines as your favorite term, your daily drivers, that can result in a lot of lost time.
Yeah.
Yes, I'd like to say everyday productivity device.
I like to say the thing that's in my pocket, but usually people take that the wrong way.
Yeah. I can see how that would be a problem.
Yeah.
So I stopped saying that. Yeah.
Yes.
No, go ahead, Jason. Go ahead.
So I'm just wondering, like, it doesn't seem to me, again, not being a computer technician, that this VRM problem can be solved with software. Maybe it can. I mean, but
yeah, I don't know. I'm outside my depth on that. We'll have to wait and see.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
It's
I'm still on the fence because mine's literally sitting in that brown box still. I signed for it yesterday with FedEx, and I was ready yesterday when the FedEx guy came up to just say, nope, decline delivery, and then just have it refunded and not have to worry about it. And then something in the back of my head said, oh, just take it in. And then that's when the information came out. And then the information came out later today saying, oh, we're good to go. And now I'm thinking about jumping in there. But at the same time, now I want to see what everybody else has to say since this new software update. So I think I still have technically 13 days to do something with this.
See,
use them. Yeah.
I admire your strength of will, Zach, because if I get something like,
I'm never like this. You know me, man. I've got stuff. I'm buying stuff all the time. There's no way I'm like this.
Yeah.
It's hard.
But another piece of news that came out recently, I mean, is the death of the Galaxy Note line.
Okay. I must say, I saw this in the rundown for the show, and I was like, oh, I don't know how to interpret that because I haven't seen this story. Who's reporting on this? What is going on?
What I've heard and what I've seen is that they're merging the Note and the S lines. And so the S, like the bigger S model would be the Note.
I see.
Yeah.
Which is just would be a return to the way they used to do it before the S6. Because before the S6, there was no Plus version. It was just you got the S or the Note.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. But I guess from what I'm hearing, they're not going to keep calling it the Note. I mean, have you heard anything similar, Zach?
I've just heard it always seemed to make sense when that came out yesterday. It always seemed to make sense to me. Like when you go ask any sales guy or any of the carriers up here, or I'm sure it might be in the same in the United States, which is a lot of the salespeople will say, well, the Note is just like an S9 Plus or 8 Plus or with a stylus and a bigger screen. And I think that's an oversimplification, but honestly, when you really kind of drill it down, it really is. There's some hardware quirks, and you got a stylus, right? And a bigger screen, right? I mean, this is an S9. This is an S9 Plus, right? And it's the perfect size in my opinion. And I mean, I'm gonna pick up a Note this fall anyway. It'll be my first Note, but it seems to make sense to combine them. Samsung's strategy has always been to saturate the market. Okay, so you got your S lines, you got your A's, you got your J's, you got a little bit of something for everybody, right? That's their strategy. But I think they're beginning to realize that it's getting confusing for consumers.
Here's the thing. I could see them ditching the Plus and just putting the Note back in its place. But it would be rather surprising to me if Samsung were to retire the Note name entirely. I mean, every time we get a brief on these things before launch, they're like, hey, here's some material on how loyal consumers are who buy the Note.
Right.
There are many, many people they don't say this, but there are many, many people that Samsung relies on every year to buy a new Note.
Right.
And they're doing it on the strength of the Note brand name. So it would be hugely surprising to me to see them actually retire the name.
In my circle of people that I know, and it's not a very big circle, but the circle of people I know in the industry and everything, I know a lot of people that get the Note that never even use the stylus.
Sure.
They get it purely because of screen size. That's
Right.
That's one of their main reason.
And the reasons used to stack up, but back in the day, you'd get the Note if you wanted the best of the best, because all the specs were significantly spruced up over the S line. And of course, they have gotten closer and closer as time has gone on. So I would welcome a change back to where the Note is the supreme device. You just get everything. And it sounds like they're really doubling down on the stylus stuff this year and being like, well, it's going to be not just the same old S Pen.
It's yellow. It's yellow. That's what's different.
And
besides, if you believe what you've seen so far, right?
yeah, I don't know that colored S Pen is an improvement so much, but it's got Bluetooth.
Yeah.
So. Yeah.
You can do so much more if that does turn out to be true. You'll be able to do so much more with the S Pen that I think will rejuvenate it a bit, because it's been a couple of years since there's been a truly new feature that's made. Oh wow! Oh, I should get that S Pen. Remote camera triggering and all that other stuff they were talking about. Oh, like remote unlock, like just crazy, weird stuff.
We get it, and then it's just I don't know. It seems like things are kind of adding up, because if you believe what else is coming out this January, or whether they do it during MWC, where Samsung comes out with 2 or 3 models, one of them having an in-display or under glass or whatever name you want to call it. I know with my Vivos right here, they call it in-display fingerprint. This has the Synaptic. That's the Vivo X21. This is the X20 Plus.
Nice.
Yeah, I collect. Why don't you think? I guess I do collect. I do have some of these and everything like that, because I'm a fan of just having it first kind of thing. And so it should be. So okay, let's think. Let's talk hypotheticals. So let's say they get rid of the stylus, and then they come out with 2 or 3 models in January, released in March or something like that, or they show it off at CES, or let's say they wait till March. Are they gonna be able to keep that momentum going until the following March or until the following January or anything? I don't know. I mean, we're so used to seeing start of the year, end of the year from Samsung. You know what I mean?
Right. Yeah. And I mean, people are upgrading less frequently, but it's like, I don't know. It would be a massive shift in strategy to abandon the 2 a year release, particularly if the Note is going to absorb the plus size one. And if it's not, it's just a 1 a year release from Samsung. I mean, Apple does it.
Yeah, only this year they're going to release like 9 phones.
Are you counting every color?
Of course, wouldn't you? No, I mean, I think you're right though. I just thinking about what you said about how much power the Note name has. Like if the Note name didn't have the power that it does, then they would have just dropped it after the Note 7 situation.
Sure. Oh yeah, right. There was all kinds of speculation about whether they would do just that, right?
Yeah,
But they didn't.
and the Note 8 came back as a really solid phone.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I would think maybe I don't know. Not knowing all the facts at this point, like to say that they would ditch the Note line next year to me is just like I can't see. That is the only thing that they have over the iPhone. You know, when you're comparing like what's different about a Samsung device.
Oh,
You
I
know,
don't know. I
and
don't know. You think so?
well, I
You can
think
take
you
an
could,
S9 and put it next to the iPhone 10 and be like, "Hey, here's 85 things that are different, and 30 of them are better." You
well,
know?
what I'm saying is that it's kind of like the S9 and the regular sized iPhone are kind of going against one another, sort of mono y mono.
Mm.
Whereas the Note line, there's not an Apple counterpart to it. There's no
Yeah.
Apple phone that has a stylus functionality or
Stylus.
anything like.
Who wants a
Yeah.
stylus? You can get them. You can take them out. You can put them away. Well, those are the exact lines from Mr. Jobs, right?
Oh,
Right.
right.
Yeah.
About that.
One right here.
This
Right.
coming from the guy who invented, or who was there at the birth of Newton. so it's all in context. Every history repeats itself
I
over
think-
and over again.
Now that I think more about it, I think Samsung has too much money invested in the Note name, especially after taking it on the chin twice during the whole Note 7 fiasco, something that would normally destroy a company.
Mhm.
And they had the integrity to say, you know what, we messed up. Okay, we messed up again, and recall all these devices and everything. And I mean, the most I have of mine is the box still, and it's still pretty hot. And
I kept my box too.
did you keep your box? Okay. And so, yeah, you got to think about it. So they came up with the 8, and everybody's like drooling over the 8. And, if then once the 9 comes out this year, the 8's going to drop in price, and everybody's who's price sensitive will probably grab that. But I think Michael kind of hit it on the head there, saying there's just too much around that name to maybe discontinue it this early.
Yeah.
Or-
And
Yeah.
and just to stick up for the stylus a little bit, like it's every time I review the Note and I use it for 2 weeks or 3 weeks, and I have to give it back or I have to move on to another device or whatever, I do miss that S Pen for a couple weeks afterwards. The Note happens to be released every year when I have to renew my lease. So
Wow.
I think for the past 5 years I've like signed my lease with the S Pen on the Galaxy Note.
Oh, that's
And,
cool.
Yeah, and like having that ability is great. And then it bleeds into other things when I'm constantly like taking screenshots of something and cropping it and sharing it to Twitter. Or I'm
Right.
on Instagram, like drawing something on an Instagram story. It's really handy.
Yeah, no,
And
I
people
agree.
kind of dismiss it. It's
Yeah.
like,
Well, I actually, now that I'm thinking about it, I think it was several of your videos about the Note that kind of sold me on the idea,
oh, cool.
like way back in the day.
Yeah.
And I thought like, oh, I'm a writer. I take handwritten notes all the time anyway, so this would be perfect.
Mhm.
And sometimes whenever I'm carrying a note, I remember it about 50% of the time. Like, oh, I should do it this way.
Yeah. Well, ever since they added the clicky bit where you can click in and click out with the,
Right.
the little top hat on it, I miss that. Like I fidget with that all the time.
Yeah.
I pop it out and just double click it in my hand.
Yeah. Yeah. But
Is that clicking? That's just there just to do stuff, right?
When it's out, it has served no function, but when it's stowed in the silo, it's the only way to pull the S Pen out.
Yeah.
So you
Okay, so when it's
click
out, it's
in.
just literally there just to click and play with.
Yeah. I mean,
I should have had that when I was smoking. I don't smoke anymore, but
Totally. Yeah.
yeah.
I don't smoke anymore, but yeah, it could have helped.
See,
Damn.
I find myself chewing on the S Pen, which,
Oh yeah, but probably not a great move with the new battery powered one.
yeah. So I'll have to train myself out of that. But so it'll be really interesting to see what happens there, because I really do think as we're losing the Note would be, I would think, just kind of crippling to Samsung's base.
Yeah, it would be one less thing. To your point earlier, it would be one less thing that they could stand on and say, "Hey, look, this is different and better."
Right.
You know.
Right.
Yeah.
All right. So now we're going to transition into some back. So we've been having conversations on and off, and I've always been thinking about this, like the getting paid to do YouTube thing.
Oh yeah.
Because I think until you get to the point where you have the opportunity to get paid for you to do YouTube, it's like some mystical realm that you can't know anything about.
Mhm.
So we were having a discussion earlier today about getting. So one of our people, and I say our people, who it's somebody who we're friends with, made a video today thinking like, I'm never going to be paid to do a review,
Mhm.
because that would mean my opinion might be swayed in one direction or the other. And I kind of have that same feeling for myself as well. But
Yeah. Definitely.
Oh, did he
was
freeze? There he
Uh,
is.
Actually, yeah, I did. I'm sorry about that, guys. I thought, I guess that was my fault.
no,
Sorry.
it
I have
happens.
the whole pipe here, so I don't know what the problem is.
So what I was saying is, getting paid for reviews as opposed to sponsorships and other things that don't touch the potential integrity of the content that you're creating, or if that perception is even valid. Like, I'd be interested to know what your take on it from where you sit right now is.
I spend so much freaking time thinking about this stuff, and it keeps me up at night. It's like I really appreciate. Thank you. This is why am I'm glad I passed the test when you did the video, and I'll have to tell you a little more about that later because that was really good timing.
Okay.
But yeah, no, this I think I said in the comment on that video, like this stuff actually does keep me up at night because I have always said I will never do something called XY review that has any money behind it from the company who made the thing I'm reviewing.
Right.
It at a fundamental level, it compromises your credibility
Right.
and your ability to be unbiased. And on the flip side, I totally understand why not everyone does that, because this is a massively expensive business. It can be. Some people can do it on the cheap and do really well. I cannot.
Right.
The type of videos that I produce, not that they're like, oh, they're so amazing. It's just the style I've chosen is a very expensive one.
Right.
And the costs involved in keeping a studio like this up and keeping people paid. I'm very, very lucky that I have Mobile Nations behind me, and that we established a plan where it's like, hey, we have a certain set runway and we can lose money up until this point. And that's
Right.
built into the plan as we scale up. Um, I would not have had the foresight had I just decided to go alone and be like, well, I'm sure I'll be profitable in 3 months, you know.
Yeah.
Oh,
See,
not today.
I kind of had that vision that you just kind of like, slung the little bindle over your shoulder and
I was
walked
like,
out on your own.
peace out, guys. Yeah, definitely not. No, and when we were building the brand, we knew that we were going to build it around me because I'm the one making all the content, but also because in 2018 or 2016 at the time, people are less likely on YouTube to tune into like, Reviews Company Limited
Right.
presents.
Yeah.
They're much more likely to be like, oh, I want to go hang out with David,
Right.
or Joe or Michael. So that was the intent, was to make it like I'm a
Right.
little island here, and also I make all my own creative decisions, and I run my own, I
Right.
run the thing,
Right.
but I
Yeah.
just have a lot of help.
Of course. Of course.
Yeah.
I look forward to the day when I can have some of that help, but at this point, it's just me toiling. Like,
But
uh,
what the beauty of it is, that's where YouTube's roots are. That's when back in 2007, when I first started posting YouTube videos in a non-tech context, that was the beauty of it. You'd post this content, and then suddenly here's a check. Here's Google emailing me to fill out a tax form, or they're going to give away my money. I'm like, what are you talking about?
yeah.
People are watching these?
Yeah. I mean, that's the thing that I mean, I know it took like probably 2 years for me to get my first AdSense $100 check.
Yeah.
Like, and that was like I've had the channel for probably since 2006, I think, but I didn't do anything with it on a regular basis, and definitely not tech related until
Mhm.
2013ish. So
Yeah.
like it was 2 years after that that I got that first ad check in the mail, and I was like, okay, that's cool.
It's
And
a surreal feeling, right?
yeah,
Mhm.
and that's the we there's that's the controversy about the new YouTube, partnership rules and everything like that. I think there's a pervasive thought out there that people are like, "Well, you just sign up and get views and get money, right?"
Right. Start taking deliveries on those cash trucks pulling up to
Yeah,
the back door.
yeah, and that's absolutely not the case. And I thought it was also interesting that you said sort of YouTube, at least at this moment, doesn't sort of go with the CNETs of the world or something like that.
Right.
There's not as much seemingly as much trust or connection with viewers.
Yeah, I think it's the connection bit. I think that the trust bit is a whole nother conversation. That YouTube has a big credibility problem, which is why I like series like Can You Trust one.
Oh, thanks.
Yeah, but it is more about the emotional resonance of like, yeah, I want to go hang out with my friend who's telling me about tech through the screen, not, somebody sitting behind a microphone and saying, well, our team tested this and found this. I'm not, by the way, can we curse on the show or not?
Oh, yeah, yeah,
I'm not shitting on that model at all because I tend to prefer that. I wrote a lot of
right.
reviews in the we voice and I love having the team and doing all that stuff. But just on YouTube, it is a format that lends itself to a personal interaction, right?
Right, right.
So, yeah.
Yeah, well, so I'm interested now. You said mentioning the YouTube trust issues.
Yes.
Um, Expand on that a little bit for me because I'm interested to hear what you're thinking.
Well, it ties into what we were talking about a second ago, right? With the paid review thing.
Right.
You know, the way things used to work. Go ahead, Zach. I'm sorry.
Okay, well, so this will probably tie into what you're saying here. So our friend who put up this video today, and I'll be more than happy to link it later on. In fact, we can actually even put it in the chat. Moloko, if you're still there, put it in there. His name is terrific. I don't know. I don't even know if I should call him reviewer, but he reviews. He showcases and does a terrific job, and it's interactive and it's fun. He's got terrific energy, and he was recently showcased by one of our good friends on another channel, and he's basically had a recent boost and rightfully so of subscribers or anything like that. And he brought out a video today, basically outlining his ethics and how he conducts, like, so if a company comes to him, if he goes to them, whatever. Okay. So I asked him this question, and maybe my understanding of it is wrong. And I'm still very much in the infancy of my YouTube career, and there's very much time for me to turn this around. And there's very much time for me to clarify with people. My question to him was this: is there anything wrong with accepting compensation for your time, your energy, the editing, the SEO, the production, turning on the lights, power, everything, to do a product showcase, review, whatever you want to call it, as long as you tell your audience in advance, hey, everybody, we're going to be taking a look at this today. Just so you know, I was paid compensation for my time. However, everything you're going to hear is 100%, pros and cons. Is that okay in your eyes, as long as you're actually saying that? I'm not talking about putting description, a little type font in a description, which we see a lot from a lot of techies out there saying, but I'm talking about telling your audience straight up. Do you know what I mean?
I do know what you mean. Yeah.
Yeah.
For me, that crosses too many lines. But this is the way I do it, right? My way is not everybody's way, and everyone is free to do this the way they want. For me, the line is drawn at accepting money for a review, and really, if there's like a center of that line, it is giving copy approval to a company.
Right.
So, you know, when you're like, you're okay, I've got the video ready now, Motorola say, hey, I've got your review ready. You take a look at it and let me know if you have any changes. That is an advertisement.
Yeah.
You are making an advertisement for that company because they are always going to come back and say, yeah, we like, you know, we don't like to call the fingerprint sensor ugly. Is there something else? You know, and it's like, okay, well, now I'm making a commercial. Well, in that case, you better pay me $10,000 because I'm making a commercial for you for much cheaper than anyone else will.
Mm-hmm.
And if that is the way you build your channel and that's what your audience expects and they're informed, no, there's nothing wrong with that. But if you're holding yourself out as a reviewer who is going to tell you if something sucks or not, well, then yeah, I would say there's a lot wrong with that.
Okay, so I'm currently in a position, and I'm talking hopefully for the other small creators that are like myself, and there's a lot of us that are around the 1,500, 2,000, 3,000, 4,000. We're just beginning to kind of break out and figure out our legs and everything like that.
Yeah.
And I'm asking this question for myself and also for people that might also be like this now. As it stands right now, as of today, as of right now, as of this moment, I have never been paid for a review. Everything you've seen on my channel was either given to me at my request to the company, which I can count on one hand how many times that's happened. This many times, 3 times.
That's cool.
Or I've gone out and purchased this. I purchased this OnePlus. I purchased this Galaxy S8. I purchased this Vivo. I purchased this Razer. It goes on and on.
Yeah.
Okay, and everything.
That's a drug dealer.
Yeah, and every other gadget, which I think a lot of people that might be getting into this game or doing, and by all means, I'm not saying you have to do that. So, thank you for clarifying that and giving us your view on that.
And by the way, like I don't mean to sit on my high horse and say like, oh no, it's so easy and I'm so perfectly on, but there is that whole other thing. It's not just YouTube that has this credibility problem. Traditional media does as well. Because there's the thing, access journalism. It's like there definitely is an implied pressure, at least from some companies, that like, well, if you don't give us a good review, then I don't know if you're going to be invited to the next round of things. And there's all this other stuff that I do. What did I just went to Europe, right, with the Huawei and the P20 Pro. I didn't get paid for my time. Certainly, as a matter of fact, it was a real big hole in my schedule as a result of it. I was way behind on videos for a while.
But they did pay for your flight and everything, correct?
Exactly right. Right.
Okay.
So does that should that make you pause and say like, well, is he going to be a softball on Huawei now because of that? Absolutely. You should ask that question. I think. I mean, so I try to conduct myself in a way that's always that always sort of reassures people that I'm still a real person. There's first of all, and by the way, stop me if I'm going to ramble on this, but like, if you live in the United States, the FTC requires, the Federal Trade Commission says that if you're being paid to do content, you have to hashtag ad, you have to hashtag sponsored and all that stuff.
Yeah, you have to click off the ad button, or I think you have to disclose within the first 60 seconds.
Yeah.
Which is something I've always done. Yeah.
There's all kinds of that stuff, which is really, really great.
Yeah. A little background on myself. I actually work for an accessories distributor here in Canada. So I work for one of the largest accessory distributors, which is how I kind of got into this. Yeah, but I would say probably about 90% of the things you see, 90% of the stuff you see on my channel are things that I've purchased. And anytime that I have showcased or shown something, a brand or something that we distribute, I've always said right away within the start of it, hey, just so you know, this is a brand that my company distributes, but I wouldn't be showing you guys unless I liked it. For example, the Nomad multi-charger here. I mean, I use it every day. It's right here. Blue Element cables, things like that. So I guess, so my question for you then, for to kind of further follow up, I'm sorry, Jason, I'm taking over here, but I think this is really important. So people, and especially for someone that with Michael's experience, X company comes to you, Michael, we'd like you to review this new phone. Can we compensate you with this dollar amount? Your response?
No.
So then how do you go about that relationship? Let's say you do want to review that new thing. How do you go about that relationship then?
This is why it sucks. This is why I miss the days when it was just, hey, we're going to give you a device to review, and not only do you not get to keep it, not only are we not going to pay you, you have to send it back. That was a lot simpler because we were on the same playing field. Companies figured out they could just pay people to say nice things. But so what I will say is, okay, well, no, I do want early access to that device, and I do want to be held to the same embargo as everybody else. But and typically then, to answer your question completely, they'll be like, yeah, that's fine. And then they'll try and hold me to the same agreement all the paid people are. It's like, we're going to review your stuff. No. But even now, people like me are starting to be at a disadvantage, because companies have figured out that not only can they pay people for reviews, but if they pay people, a lot, and give them special treatment, they can make a really nice looking review that's filmed somewhere really beautiful, instead of the same dingy conference room the rest of us are getting the press briefing in. You know what I mean?
Right.
So
Yeah.
not only am I not getting paid, I'm not being able to make as nice a video. That kind of sucks. So
I can see
the
that.
landscape is changing in a way that I don't particularly like, but whatever. We all have to. It's a
So how do you
competitive
feel that?
business. We have to figure it
How
out.
do you feel that? How do you feel that small creators, people that are starting out, whether it be in tech or makeup or whatever it is, working with brands, how do you think they should? How do you? I'm not saying that everything that Mr. Mobile says is got, but for myself personally, I'm going to take it. I'm taking down notes here. And I'm going to play this back again and again.
Anything that you say right now,
but I mean,
could be used in court.
Yeah, exactly. So what is the ultimate advice? They've got a YouTube channel. They've got 5,000, 10,000 subscribers. They're getting the impressions. They're getting the watch time. They're getting things are blowing up. Brand comes to them and says, "Hey, we want you to review our thing, but we can also compensate you for your time." Do you think? And let's say that reviewer likes that thing, and they like that brand. How should they approach that? Should they then go out and say, maybe find a separate sponsor to maybe do an ad spot, so it's separate, and then go back to that brand and say, you know what, I can work with you now because I found this great brand that wants to have a spot at the end or beginning of my video.
Yeah, I mean, that's nice. That's a nice way to do it. That's what I typically do, is the podcast approach. But still, the company providing me with the thing I'm reviewing, if money changes hands in that way, in this like direct way, and that it's very often phrased that way, it's like, can we pay you for your time? And God,
compensation.
The old actor in me is really easily tricked by that, because of course when you're coming from a creative background, every single minute of your time is worth something, because if you don't think that way, you're going to get screwed by everybody. So they sort of prey on that. And I don't know, my thing is this, man. I think what crosses the line for me is making anything called a review that you're getting money for to produce from the people who made the thing you're reviewing, like I said before. But there are so many other ways to get money from companies who want access to your audience, that you don't have to do that. You don't have to sell yourself out. But it's every time, I'm not going to lie, every time I have to do it, it sucks, because the money is really the money is great from companies that want to pay for
my integrity reviews. And I think the majority of people that are in this, whether whether it's tech or not, I think their integrity is worth a lot more than some dollars, or at least we hope it is.
Well, but the thing is, as you said, like, this is a hot topic among people who aren't, in the position to be paid for their time, as we, and a lot of people are like, oh, so and so is getting paid, such and such, and it's funny because yes, the FTC is a real thing, and yes, but I don't really hear anybody saying, this video was sponsored by blank company. I thank them for letting it happen. If in fact it's like, I'm doing a phone review.
I hate it when you see these reveals and this and that, and all the person in the video says is, "Hey, I want to thank my friends at so-and-so company for helping out with this." That's not exactly disclosing. Do you know what I mean?
No,
I'm not going to drop names, but you guys know exactly what I'm talking about. Okay. Yeah.
I don't, but I definitely hear that a lot
Yes.
out there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That
and
drives me nuts.
that's
Yeah.
improper disclosure, I would say, because yeah,
Mhm.
you're, and I've felt it before. There are times I've had sponsorships where I'm like, I don't know how I really feel about this. I'll just be specific. One of my very first larger sponsorships was from Qualcomm. Right,
Mhm.
Qualcomm. I I don't make videos that are like Exynos Samsung versus Qualcomm Samsung comparison benchmark comparison. I don't.
Right.
So I was like, I need. That's how I justify it. Qualcomm chips literally power almost everything I ever review. So
Right.
there is an argument to be made there that that is an improper that's an improper sponsorship. I should not have said yes to it. But at some point, and this is maybe what you were getting at, Zach, like at some point you have to draw the lines for yourself where you're like, I need to start deciding what's proper and what I can justify and how I can do it truthfully and in a way that's
Mhm.
serves my audience, but also lets me keep the lights on. Because as we
Yeah.
say, there are people getting rich in this business. Yes, I am
Mhm.
not one of them. Not saying I'm living a pauper lifestyle, but this operation will make money at a future point. It doesn't make money yet.
Right.
Mhm.
Yeah. So that's interesting to me because one of the reasons that I sort of started the Can You Trust series was the whole idea that there are people who've been doing this YouTube tech thing for quite a while, and
Mm.
they sort of grew out of the bedroom and into something different,
Yeah,
right?
sure.
And nowhere along the way has there really been any sort of community-wide discussion about, you know, this is what we do, and this is how we do it, and these are our lines that we draw.
Mhm.
I mean, I would love to see some of the folks like MKBHD or Unbox Therapy just say, give a little like these are my ethics discussion,
Mhm.
because I made a video like that about a year ago only because I just felt like it was important to be able to say this is the line that I draw.
Yeah.
And the thing that worries me is as a creator that's sort of growing at this point, if that stuff doesn't happen with the folks who've come before me, then the trust erodes.
Mhm.
What's left for the creator that's coming up at this point if we can't have a frank and open conversation?
Absolutely. I mean, the waters get sullied, and you put yourself at a disadvantage because you're, financially, because you're not able to say yes to some things that other people are who have different standards. And yeah, of course. I mean, and the conversation is super important to have. I gotta tell you, for a year and a half, I've been wanting to make the video you're talking about, but I
Right.
keep scripting it on planes, and then I'll be like, this looks like this is too snipey. I've got friends who, they'll be
You don't
mad.
want it to sound like a hit piece.
Right, of
Yeah.
course. And
Yeah.
also, but also my ability to tolerate that side of the space changes. It's like a year ago, I would have been just so irritated right now, like, "God, just people getting paid for stuff." But I just, I'm about to run an ad on my Instagram channel for a backpack company.
Right.
Well, I've reviewed backpacks on my channel before. So now, every time that I do a future backpack review, somewhere in the description, I've got to put, hey, this would seem to produce the appearance of a conflict of interest. And by the way, the audience members are totally within their rights to say, well, he took money from these other guys. So how can I trust him about, what peak design?
Right. Right. I mean,
That sucks.
ultimately, the best thing would be like the audience is paying as much attention as the creators, but
Right.
that's never going to be the case for the majority of people. I mean,
Yeah.
I somebody just put dbrand in the chat. Like I've taken a few shots at dbrand just because they're so ubiquitous, and it seems to me like the
Yeah.
carpet bombing ad strategy is really onerous to me.
Yeah, I agree. Like dbrand, I get so much pushback on dbrand that I've actually instituted it as a community keyword. So any post that has the word dbrand in it is automatically filtered out, and I can go in and decide whether to approve it or not. Um, but for me, you guys got to understand, dbrand is the perfect sponsor.
Right.
I
Yeah.
don't review skins. I don't review cases. There's no conflict of interest. It's a product that's pretty damn good. and they have a cool vibe, and they're not jerks who are just like
They're Canadian.
they are. See, there we go. Oh, and they're
The
really easy
company
to
I
work
work
with.
for,
That
we used to be a distributor for them, but we ran into a problem where they were pricing their retail product higher than their online. So savvy customers were going into the store saying, "Why is it priced $29.99 here, and I could buy it online for $8?"
Sure.
And then we pulled out of the deal with them, so we no longer deal with them directly. But I know a few of the guys there. They're good. They're good people.
Yeah, and they're easy to work with. So
They're
that's
just
it's
everywhere.
such a perfect. Yeah.
Yeah.
But also, I feel it. I know people complain all the time, but it's like the people who comment on videos, and I adore talking to all of them. Don't get me, I'm not shitting on them. They are such a tiny slice of the overall viewership
right.
that I'm not surprised that Dbrand doesn't mind still doing 400 videos, a minute,
Right.
because they're getting the name out there. So
Yeah.
Anybody else get a weird quiver up their spine when they hear Mr. Mobile swear? It's weird, right? You'll never listen to him again. You'll never listen to the to the audio of the videos again. The same.
Dropping F-bombs everywhere.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, well, thank you for clearing. I mean, I'll probably ask you a little bit more offline and everything like that, but
Sure.
it's been something I've been struggling with, and I thought I had figured out. And as my friend Travis would put it, and I really hope Travis is watching because we kind of got into it today, but I know it's all in the spirit of making sure that we are being 110% with our audience and everything like that. I really want to get my moral compass back on track. But as I said before, when it comes to my specific case, luckily enough, I haven't even come close to that line yet. I thought I'm one of these guys that has their notes, and if and this that go to this page kind of thing, right?
Yeah,
and
sure.
and as I'm slowly finding out here with this YouTube game, it's not that simple, especially with that algorithm.
There's a lot of true.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of nuance. There's a lot of shades of gray, and
that's it. Yeah.
I've just been trying to figure out how to navigate that and be completely transparent all the time. And if you're not careful, you'll do that. I see you put in the work in, of course. It's like already like all the thought going into this, but you have to also be okay with the fact that as much as you try to be a straight shooter, there's always going to be a subset of people in the comments being like, how much did Samsung pay you?
You know what? And I don't mind that. I think those are the people that really have their head on straight because they want to know. They should be questioning that. There's no way anybody and don't take this wrong way. I'm just using you as an example. Video on the OnePlus 5, right? They shouldn't just take that video as, okay, Mr. Mobile said get it and go. They should go watch another video. They should go watch a small creator. They should go watch somebody else. They should listen to a podcast if they're really looking to make that investment.
Strongly agree. Yeah,
right.
You should get as many perspectives as you possibly can.
Yeah, there's so many, and I don't mean this mean upon the audience in general, but there's so many. They just listen to that one creator, and because they said this, everybody else is wrong.
Right. Oh yeah. No, that's
I even see that amongst other creators that are like myself or smaller or up and coming, and they always refer to that big creator because they said this or because they did this, and that's the way it is. No, we should be questioning.
Right.
Well, and I'm in a weird position at this point because I've just gotten to this place where I'm looking for opportunities to make my income on YouTube grow, and it's been really hard for me because so some company called SCD got in touch with me and they're like,
oh yeah,
we make a dedicated video for us. And I said to him, I was like, nobody's going to watch a dedicated video about your company from me. Like they don't come to me for that.
Right.
But they wanted it anyway. So I made a video where it was just me talking the way that I would about what products they were offering and all that kind of stuff. And they came back and they're like, no, we want you to actually have screenshots of like clicking the buttons and showing them how to purchase. And I was just like,
sure.
I couldn't do it. So that, that was $300 that I didn't have.
Yeah.
And $300 wasn't enough anyway.
Right. Well, and you experienced what I was talking about before, right? Where you were like suddenly you're like getting notes from these guys. You're like, oh, I'm building a commercial. Oh, right.
Yeah.
You know, sometimes that's cool. I was just to be specific about it. I was just earlier today thinking, there's a company that does. I don't know if I can say this without. I don't know if I can say this. I'll use a different example. There's a company that does electric car racing, Formula E, right?
Right.
And they're
Okay.
like, come down to New York City, and we'll pay you to come down to New York City and be excited and post exciting Instagram photos of electric race cars. And I'm like, zero conflict of interest. Sounds like a lot of fun. I'm very happy to make your commercial for you. You know,
Right. Right.
like those are easy. But
Right.
situations like that where you're like, wow, my audience does not care about this, and you're going to be a pain for not enough money. No.
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
yeah.
that's the whole. I mean, I'm just in that weird place where, I mean, I know that like our friends on Front Page Tech, they've been building their channel for many years at this point, and they've actually built to the place where they have a show and they can sell ad time on the show,
That's
and
great.
that
Yeah.
that works great. And
Yeah.
I, it's that frustrating place where it's like, yes, my AdSense checks are considerably better than they used to be, but if I want to have an opportunity to do this thing as my full-time gig, then I have to figure out like what is the avenue for me.
Mhm.
Um, and I don't know what that's going to be yet.
Well, I think honestly, you're already doing a lot of the right stuff because you're being discerning. Like you with that S, SCD, SDC.
SCD key,
Yeah.
yeah.
With those guys, you came into a position where you're like, well, this isn't working out. The audience isn't going to like it. It's just going to strategically not be a sound move anymore. So you walked away from it. And I think that's sound thinking.
Right.
I mean, rather than just kind of grabbing at every short term or every opportunity that presents itself and hoping it turns into, you're being discreet. And I think that's not discreet, but you're being,
Discerning.
discerning. Thank you.
Yes. Hey,
Appreciate that.
no
It
problem.
has a D and an S and a C in it. Uh, but yeah. So I think that's the way to do it. Unfortunately, of course, it takes forever to
Right.
build this stuff, as you guys know.
Yeah. So let's pivot a little bit to sort of the downward slope of the podcast, and I'm interested. So, is there any 2018 has been kind of an underwhelming year for mobile tech.
No, man, that's been the year of the notch. Woo! We all love the notch.
Oh,
Okay, so I guess I shouldn't state it that way because then I'm trying to I'm
Sorry,
trying to
man.
bias your response. But what tech is still coming this year that you're really excited about checking out and getting in for review or whatever?
new Blackberries, baby. No. That is true, but I don't expect anything new and dope like my key too. It took me a second to think about this when I was looking at the show notes, and I think the thing I'm most looking forward to is the reinvention of Wear OS, formerly Android Wear.
Mm,
Assuming the rumors are true, I have
with the
nothing
Pixel 3. Yeah.
alongside the Pixel 3, right?
Yeah.
Right.
Apparently so. Apparently there's going to be a watch or two with the Pixel 3.
Yeah, one of them
Apparently.
the LG Watch Timepiece is
Mhm.
the rumored name.
Mhm.
Not the hardware so much. I mean, whatever. We can go on and on about the hardware, but wearables just sort of exploded in 2012, and then smartwatches, everyone pretty quickly agreed, well, I don't really need one of these things, except for like me and I feel like 7 other people for whom they really provide some useful utility. Um, but Wear OS in its current form is such a usability nightmare, in my opinion, that I'm stoked to see what Google can do when they try to reinvent it again.
Mhm.
Because it's for years we've had these great manufacturers making these watch companies, right? Like
Right.
Movado
Yeah.
and
Mhm.
Fossil and all these big names making beautiful hardware that runs Wear OS, and you're like, but I just want that software to be better.
Mhm.
Right.
And
Yeah.
maybe this is the year it's finally going to happen. So that's what I'm stoked for.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, I went through all those. I went through all the watches. With the Motorola's, the LGs, the Huawei. I tried them all. I tried the Samsung devices. I still have a Samsung Gear Fit 2.
Oh
That's
yeah.
to me is like from a price to performance ratio, a great wearable
Yeah.
because it's $150 and it does most of the stuff that you would want it to do, and you don't feel like you're kind of getting bent over buying buying that, you know. And I mean, you know, Apple customers out there will know what that feels like. Uh, but I mean,
Watch works pretty well, though. is the
yeah, it
thing.
does. It does. I mean, the Apple, to their credit, the Apple Watch is really the only watch out there that has sort of lived up to its hype and sold, and you know, you see it. I see them every day
Yeah, so
on
do I.
so
Yeah.
and not to really, it's a great product. It's just, you know, sometimes it's like,
Yeah.
really $400 and something dollars.
Sure.
Yeah. But I yeah, so I'm looking forward to seeing, I guess for me it's, can they design an OS that doesn't feel like you're using it,
Mm.
you know? Because if you've got a watch on, I mean, 90% of the time, what do you do with your watch? You look at it,
Mhm.
and you don't necessarily interact with it or anything else. So I think that if they make something that passes passes that test, you know, where 90% of the time you look at your notification or you look at, you know, whatever it is that pops up, and then you can dig into it, um, if you want to and get a little bit deeper. If you say you're on the go and you just want to see the first 3 lines of an email or something.
Right, and what sucks is, like, Android Wear in its first iteration did all that, and it
Right.
did it pretty well, and then I think in the second one, they just took it in the exact opposite direction. No, 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 people want standalone watches. They want to install apps from the Play Store right on their wrist. They don't wanna pull out a phone. They wanna use all 1.4 inches of this thing. It's like, get
Right.
out of here. I just it was to the wrong direction, I think.
Right.
So I'd like to see a bit of a return to that, but of course, Android Wear first generation really didn't do too well. Motorola doesn't make watches anymore because they didn't make enough money, you
Right.
know? It's like and
That's been a problem for Motorola for the past several years,
yeah, but,
generally.
I know, but that 360 was so good looking.
It
Like, if
was.
you
I
saw an
like
Android
that
Wear
too.
watch, you saw the Moto 360, right?
Yeah.
I had an LG Urbane. Is it called LG Urbane? I
LG
feel like,
Watch Urbane, yeah.
yeah, LG. I had that. I had that one, and I went out and I bought like an actual metal band for it, so it looked like a normal watch.
Nice.
And a lot of people didn't know it was a smartwatch until they actually got close. They're like, "Is that a digital fate?" Like, oh, yeah, it does this. But I found myself, like, and I'm such a techie and everything like that, and I buy all the toys all the time, that I just didn't like it. I don't know, or Wear OS is going to have to do something spectacular,
Yeah.
or team up with a bunch of really great, you know, manufacturers and designers or anything in order to get me kind of back on board, because I usually just found myself going, okay, and then anyway, grabbing my phone anyway and checking that thing. You know what I mean? Like, so.
For me, I think that I've always thought that $200 is kind of the sweet spot. Like, I think I'm ready to sort of try something out if it's $200 or less, you know, if it intrigues me. But if it goes beyond that, I think then it becomes a purchase that the majority of people really take a second to think about.
Mhm.
And then they're going to always be saying, like, am I actually getting my $300 worth out of this? And that's going to be enough to keep enough people away. So the price has to be somewhere in that reasonable area.
Yeah.
And
No, it definitely does.
maybe the technology has evolved to the point where they can get to the price point they need to have in order to make the device that people want. But I don't know.
Yeah, and I was initially tempted to say, well, maybe if they brand it the Google Watch or whatever like that, then it'll have that cachet to do it. But that
Right.
hasn't seemed to have worked with the Pixel line of smartphones.
No.
And not that they sell poorly, but they certainly I don't think sell well, you know?
Yeah. Well, plenty of Apple fanboys have told me exactly how many they've sold compared to the app to iPhones.
Oh yeah, but they're using the install numbers on the Pixel launcher in the App Store or the Play Store, right? Yeah,
Well, yeah, it's like, well, yeah, because I had this whole thing about the new colored phones that Apple's going to come out with. I really think that, to me, it doesn't seem like you're getting the same value out of that phone perceptionally for a lot of people that you would be getting out of the real iPhones. But this has been an ongoing argument, and
Yeah.
I happened to mention the iPhone 5C, which then
It's plastic.
people were like, and I looked up the numbers. They only sold 24 million, and somebody said to me, "Oh well, the Pixel line has only sold 10 million."
Right.
And I'm
Right.
like, well, but to me, that's a totally different thing. I mean, because the iPhone 5C came out at the same time as the 5S. How many 5Ss did they sell?
Oh,
A
yeah.
lot more than 24 million.
Right.
So in case anybody doesn't know what's going on this fall, apparently, if you believe the rumors and the leaks and this and that, there's going to be a 5.8-inch refresh of the 10, whatever they're going to call it. They're probably call it the 10 or something like that again. There apparently is going to be a 6.5-inch version of the 10, which again will use an OLED screen, and then in between there's going to be a 6.1-inch that apparently uses an LCD screen, which I think the average consumer, depending on what your definition of that is, won't be able to tell the difference. It's going to have that notch. It's going to look bigger than last year's, smaller than the big one this year, and it's only going to have a single camera on the back. And apparently, the big play with this is it's going to come in around $200 or $300 less than the 10. So it's going to be a major price play. And the bets and everything like that we're having within our community and things like that is, after 6 months, we'll take a look at the numbers, and some people are saying the 6.1 will sell the best, and some people are saying that the 5.8 will sell the best, and some people are saying the 6.5. I'm of the opinion that the 6.1 will sell the best because it looks new. It's going to have some different colors. It's still going to look and feel premium, and it's not going to kill the pocketbook of most consumers. It's
a sound argument, but
yeah, that's it.
But I'm wrong, right?
In my estimation, I think I just don't think people buy iPhones for variety. I think they buy iPhones because they want the iPhone.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
So
for consistency, like I'll have conversations with my normal friends, and I'll be just like, at a bar, 5 deep or something like that. I'm just like, it's the same as it's been for 5 years. And look at this grid, and they'll be like, yeah, that's why I love it. I move into the new iPhone and I instantly know where I am, and it's not that big a change. And the things that are changed are usually changed for the better. And I'm like,
I don't know what the numbers are overall for the United States, but up here in Canada, whenever I go to a different dealer, and this has happened very much since basically January, they'll have stacks and stacks and stacks of iPhone 10s in the back, but you can't find a 7, 8, or 8 Plus because they're on for a better price. They're familiar. And yeah.
Oh, see, that's crazy because the 10 has sold really well in the States, at least.
I have customers begging me to return their 10 stock.
Huh. Interesting.
Yeah, their 10 accessories and stuff like that. And I'm trying to tell them that, hey, if there's a refresh this fall, your stuff is going to fit the new 10. Just hold on to it. Plus, I don't want to count against my gross profit.
Well, like right now, I'm carrying a 7 Plus, and part of it was, again, like the situation that I'm in with having to make this move. I was like, well, I was carrying a Note 8, and it was expensive, and this one I got for like $549 or $600 or something. And
pretty good price.
Yeah, so I was just like, this will hold me over until the new iPhones come out, when obviously I have to buy at least one of them. So, well, I talk about phones on YouTube, so
I mean, if 6.1 if this 6.1 is priced as low as they're saying, I'm going to pick one up because because of that price point, just to maybe ease myself back into the iOS ecosystem, as it were, as resistant as I am being with the MacBook. But sorry, Michael, you were going to say.
No, I wasn't. I was just agreeing with you. I like every fall when I can move back into the iPhone and re-experience that ecosystem for a while. And the apps, by the way, frequently have a better quality. Yep. I do like that.
Yeah.
But, just because of the way I tend to operate, I'm like, after about a week,
every case in the world is available to you. That's one of the nice things about having a flagship, right?
No, man, I roll naked.
Yo, okay, there we go. There we
Come
go.
on now.
That's not even a deep brand skin, Michael. Come on.
That's for a couple seconds of video, yeah. No, it's a philosophical thing for me, you know. It's like I like the intention that a manufacturer has shown when designing a product, and I don't like to cover that up with anything.
That the BlackBerry does look nice. Yeah. Like
Thank
I said,
you.
I got a soft spot for them as a Canadian, so yeah.
Thank you. Oh, that's right. Yeah. Well, you know,
Even it's all TCL now, though, right? Yeah.
Well, it's BlackBerry Mobile is technically TCL, but here's the thing: like they do so much of the software, all the software signatures, all the signing still happens in Canada. Real BlackBerry still controls the software, and every time there's a BlackBerry Mobile release event, yeah, there's TCL people everywhere. But the people I end up talking to about the physical design of the phone, the hardware, who I expect to be from Shenzhen, are not. I'm talking to a lot of Canadians. I'm like, how? But I thought all you guys, and they're like, I've been with the company for 15 years. I'm like, okay.
Well, next time you talk to those Canadians, be like, hey, I know Zach. They'll be like, oh, yeah, Zach.
I will.
There's another stereotype. There you go.
Everybody in Canada knows everybody. It's like everybody from West Virginia knows everybody as well. So but usually with West Virginia, it's something like, oh yeah, I have a friend going to school in Roanoke. I'm like, that's great.
Yep.
Yeah. So anyway, I think now we're going to pivot to our final question, which is a series of questions that Zach has come up with.
Oh,
yes, kind of a rapid fire.
It's kind of a rapid fire. We're not going to get as intense as before.
Okay.
And I'm mostly looking for your. Oh, I'm not going to tell you what I'm looking for. But I'm going to 5 questions here. Rapid fire. Here we go. Star Trek or Star Wars?
Star Trek.
Favorite movie?
Star Trek movie or other movie?
Favorite movie?
So could be any of them.
Yeah. You know, it's we're gonna have to go with American Beauty, despite the fact that the lead is now unwatchable.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay.
Are you going out for dinner, hamburger or sushi or sushi?
Oh, hamburger.
Hamburger. Okay.
Okay.
Favorite beetle?
Like a potato bug, maybe
the musical group. Come on, man.
Yeah. Who's the one that's everyone's least favorite? Ringo?
No, he's very popular.
I thought George was the least favorite.
George. Then yeah. I'm not a big Beatles fan.
And final question. I don't know where this came from. It was somebody else's live stream last week. I think it was Vipers. Is a hot dog a sandwich?
Oh, right. I saw this batted around as well. Of course not. No, because it's just a hot dog. Otherwise, you would call it Otherwise, people in the 50s would have called it a hot dog sandwich, like they called them hamburger sandwiches. But no, it's never been a sandwich. It never will be.
Okay. So the question is then, for all of us to ponder, if it's not a sandwich and yet it consists of bread and a thing, like, is that okay?
Is it okay for it to exist?
Yeah.
If it's not a sandwich? As long as you don't put any ketchup on it, I'm fine. I think it should exist. Yeah.
Look at the chat. Look at the chat. So they're all arguing about sandwich. This is great.
Unsubscribe.
Hard-hitting questions here on the Painfully Honest podcast.
That was a great little question round there. That was cool. You guys are good at that.
One of these questions actually comes from my 6-year-old.
Nice. Which one?
Favorite Beatle?
I'm so sorry to have disappointed.
No. I've been exposing him to all my music. I used to DJ for 10 years. So
nice.
He's been slowly going through my music. What is this, Dad? It's a CD, son. Does it go in that? No, that's the vinyl player. What's that? Oh, God.
Don't even try and explain tape to a child.
Oh, I got to find my tapes. I got my Walkman around here. I got it somewhere.
I was going to say, if you bring them up right, you got to bring them up on mini discs. You ask me.
Yes, mini discs. Those were you did Did you not do a thing on mini discs?
Retro review on. Yeah.
That was a lot of fun. My wife liked watching that one. She thought it was really good. Yeah.
Good. I loved making it. I really, really love those things.
Yeah. Anything throwback like that is a lot of fun. Yeah.
Yeah. I haven't done one in a while.
That leads me to one final question. Maybe is there any video that you've made that's kind of stuck out to you as like something that was memorable? I mean, the mini disc video is obviously standard an option. But
Yeah, no, anytime I can get out of the studio and do something a little different. There was a video that took like 18 months to be built, which was that AT&T Tower Tour video.
oh yeah,
Which totally reads like a sponsored video. And by the way, like that I would have been okay taking money for that one because I was just educating people about how a network works, right? I wasn't
Right,
saying
yeah.
like, look how great AT&T is. But it didn't. Of course. It was a regular like, hey, come learn something with Mr. Mobile video. But they took me up into a church steeple and a fake church steeple on top of a real church where
Mhm.
network equipment was, and we went up to the top of that mountain in New Hampshire.
I saw that. That was really good. Yeah.
It was great.
Yeah.
The experience was great. I think the video, I have my own criticisms about the video, but like, wow, what a fun time. Yeah, I'd love to do more stuff like that.
Yeah, that is cool. I mean, most of the time I just have to I sit here, so I can see how that.
Did you know that the majority of the wireless infrastructure in Canada, the hardware is actually made by Huawei?
Yes, it did.
Which is why we have access to the Huawei P20 Pro, and you guys don't down there technically.
Right. Yeah. Don't you ever get scared though that they're sending all your information to China? Come on, man.
Not one bit, man. Not one bit. In fact, the carriers here only carry the black version. So I actually ended up. Yeah, they didn't bring the Twilight, so I actually paid outright for the Twilight, and like that is a sexy phone, right?
Nobody makes a paint job like that. It's unbelievably good looking.
Yeah, nobody can see it in the light here, but I can see it. That's all that counts.
That's all that matters. Yeah, actually, that was one of my favorite parts of the Europe trip because they took us to the design shop where they basically thought up all that stuff
at Huawei.
Yeah, it was in Paris as their the Huawei aesthetic research office or something.
Mm-hmm.
And just seeing all the materials that they had around that like influenced those design choices was such an awesome thing for a smartphone nerd. It was great.
Yeah, I imagine. Yeah. That back of that phone reminds me of something, and I can't quite pull it out of my brain. But there's something that it's
accidentally spilling gasoline when you're filling an outboard motor on a boat.
That would be it. That right there.
There you go.
Yeah. So I think that's all that we've got. Thank you so much for chatting with us this evening.
You guys are such a pleasure to hang with. I'm super glad. We're like way over time, and I don't even care. This was really, really fun. Did anybody ask any cool questions you wanted to get to in the chat? Because I can't see the chat.
Just a lot of swearing in there right now, so they're still arguing about hot dogs.
I tell you,
Frankfurter hating jerk.
Well, yeah, we could also talk about what is a couch.
Well, a couch is a Chesterfield. A toque is a hat, and it is pronounced Z, not Z.
Oh man,
yeah.
This is a Canada thing. I'm guessing.
That's actually a line from a beer commercial up here.
Oh, really?
I'm Molson Canadian. Actually, there is a question on here. I'm just going to read it real quick here. Talk about the Asus ROG phone.
Oh yeah,
have you had your hands on it, Michael?
No, because I didn't go to Computex because I stayed behind for the BlackBerry launch and something else. Everyone and their brother got a hands-on with that phone, and I'm super jealous. I'm excited. I don't play any mobile games that require the ROG phone, but I still want to use it. I like a clip-on fan thing, a USB port on the side and the bottom. It's awesome. This is the same company, by the way, that made the Asus Zenfone 5Z, the largest, most obvious ripoff of the iPhone 10 in existence. That same company made something so unbelievably original that could be nothing else. I find that incredible. Good for them. They contradict themselves. They contain multitudes.
Yeah, they and they actually it's got its own cooler. It's
all kinds of big old heat pipe in there, some coolant, lights. Weird. I don't know. It's incredible. Yeah. Do you guys play like PUBG or Fortnite or those kids games?
I play PUBG sometimes, but I find that I don't have a ton of time, and I've promised a friend of mine that I'm going to get on and play Fortnite with him and some other friends. But
I just discovered Fortnite a couple weeks ago, and I made the mistake of naming my character Zach Talks Tech, and I had a whole bunch of people come after and kill me. It was a lot of fun. Nice. I barely landed, and you're dead, mother. No, I've had fun with it. I've actually I've got the Asus here, so I have to bring it out and hook it up and everything like that to the monitor here, because doing it on Mac it's just horrible. Maybe it'll be better on that new MacBook.
Hey, it might.
Maybe it'll be better on the new MacBook.
You better not put it on your lap.
Open that up right now. Yeah. Good
The
point.
box, Michael. Quit tempting me. I have to see the results first the next few days.
Get that knife out. Do it.
Yeah, so somebody asked me to answer the super chats, and I got to admit, I'm stupid and don't know how to get back to the super chats that have been super chatted, unless I just manually.
Are they public? Because I can look them up in the.
I'm trying to scroll backwards. I don't know. So okay,
The only one I noticed was this one. Nor or Nad, if you're confused, you probably shouldn't be reviewing tech.
Nor or Nad.
which is
So
like
XNOR or NAD.
Yeah, XNOR.
XNOR.
Well,
or
and
NAD.
I know that like the Samsung. So I'm not like the most astute tech reviewer, but I do know that like the Samsung Evo drives run on a NAND or have
NAND. Oh yeah. I don't know. I like anyone who affixes the suffix. If you don't know this thing, then you are not in the right job. Can really like kind of go fuck themselves a little bit. Like I don't feel any compulsion to answer questions delivered in such a manner.
I don't blame you. It's totally fine.
There's so much, it's funny. I have some of the most fun of my career doing like Tesla videos or Chevy Bolt videos. Because by the time another car review rolls around, I have to like research everything that's fallen out of my head since the last one. And that relearning process is so enjoyable that I actually quite like it when I don't know what I'm talking about at the start of a process and get to know what I'm talking about by the end of it,
Right.
So I have a question since we're kind of wrapping down here. Last week I gave everybody a movie assignment. So this week I'd like you to pick the movie for everybody to watch, and including myself. I'll watch it sometime this week.
Oh my god!
Preferably something I can get on Netflix.
Oh, it's massive pressure. Dear God.
Just something fun. Doesn't have to be.
You didn't expect this kind of pressure.
No, I didn't expect to be sweating tonight. This is dreadful. I'm going to get back to you with a good one on this, but pick out one more question from the crowd while I think about this very, very deeply. Or we can just sit in silence for 45 seconds. It's going to take me that long.
Here's something. Thoughts on the next Star Wars movie or Star Trek movie? Star Trek. I always
they're going to make Do you?
No, I don't.
I'm excited about it, but not as excited as I am about the TV rumors. I think the Star Trek belongs on television.
The Discovery, you saw the trailer too, hey?
I totally.
I'm like, they're actually gonna fix this. It's gonna be good, right?
Yeah, I mean, I'm just gonna be so excited to see Captain Pike again. He's one of my favorite characters since the JJ stuff. And number one, they're bringing in Rebecca Romaine to play.
Yes, because she was originally played by who played the voice in Next Generation and right? So they're actually going to have a full role for her, which is good. Yeah,
which is great because we'll see her for the first time since literally 1965. That character, and I'm just that's going to be.
We just dated ourselves. That's great.
I have no idea. I had no idea that Rebecca Romaine was that old.
See? Hollywood magic, man. So like a good movie assignment. I feel like. Well, you assigned people classics last week, right, Zach? You assigned.
So I asked everybody to watch either. Well, Jason said Born on the 4th of July, and I said Rain Man.
Yeah. Wow.
But my all-time favorite movie, Dances with Wolves. And I'm talking about like the 5.5-hour version. I love that.
Still, that's a very well-regarded movie. It's yet again a movie I haven't seen. I'm just such a cretin. I will have to check that out. I'll shortlist that.
Okay.
Dances with Wolves? It's 5.5 hours long, man. You can't shortlist that.
A long list that.
A long list that.
I have one, and it's so tacky, and I don't care. You want to have yourself a little guilty cry in front of the TV in a Nicolas Cage movie from 2000 or 2001? Go ahead and you watch The Family Man. That's a film that'll get a little tear rolling down your cheek if you're the type of person who is into that.
Yeah. I take pills for that.
I love Nicolas Cage because he's just
an insane and delightful person to watch.
he's become better as time goes on and just crazier, and I love it.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah, love it. Perfect. You guys all hear that? The Family Man, Nicolas Cage. That is your movie assignment from Mr. Mobile.
That's right.
All right. So now that we, I feel like I should give people music assignments.
Oh, good idea.
You know your music, man. Give her.
Yeah.
Oh, geez, but now I've just painted myself into a corner. Like, what should I suggest to people? Okay, I'm just gonna go with something easy.
That reminds me.
Go and listen to the band's second album, which is called The Band.
Huh.
And come back and tell me what you think. One of my favorite records of all time.
The Band.
Yeah.
Their second album.
Yep.
I'll take it. I'll look that up. That's
Self-titled.
Jason, look what arrived today.
Oh, it's my novel.
Jason's book. I told you I was going to buy it.
I know.
And I bought it.
I know.
Showed up today from Amazon.
The 14th Colony. Am I reading that correct?
Yep, the 14th Colony.
Yeah. Yeah. So that was my
Explain
first.
context.
So like I said, I came out to maybe before we started, but I came out to Iowa to go to graduate school for creative writing, and so
awesome.
Yeah. So I went to the Iowa Writers Workshop, and
Yeah.
I had written 50 pages of that book, and just sort of randomly sent it to Iowa because I promised myself I would, and totally didn't expect to get in, but I did. So I had 50 pages of that when I got here, and ultimately finished it like 8 years later.
That's incredible. That's awesome. And it's in print now.
Yeah, you can order it from Amazon.
Look at the picture of Jason on the.
Shut up.
It looks nothing like what you guys see nowadays.
Wow.
Yeah, that's
you guys see that.
When my beard was not gray and
different glasses.
Yeah, well,
you definitely look more hipster.
That's because I was.
There's a very good reason for that.
I'm going to read this weekend, though, between this and The Family Man. So I felt bad because last week I made a bad joke. A couple people asked me about this, and I shouldn't have said it because I was like, I said something last week I thought was funny. We both laughed. I think you just laughed because just for the heck of it. I said, hey, I bought your book, and you said, yeah, you did. And I said, no, I didn't. And then we both. I felt bad after a couple of people pointed that out to me. So I went online, like I said I would, and I'm going to read this weekend. So I'm very excited about it. Thank you, Jason.
No problem. So like for me, it's after 30 years of doing like music and then being a writer, and then doing YouTube, like nothing offends me anymore. I think I've just been bent over in so many different directions that it just doesn't matter anymore.
Hey, it's on Kindle. It's on Kindle.
Yeah, I put it on. It's on the Kindle Unlimited. So if you want to read on the Unlimited and you have that available,
no, man, I'm gonna buy it with one click, which I just
awesome. Did. Cool, cool.
There you go.
Thank you. Wow,
this is awesome. I look forward to reading that.
I think I'd be selling the book.
Really quickly, you probably know her, and she's going to be on the podcast soon. What kind of dirt can you give us on iJustine? I'm just kidding. There's no dirt on her. She's nice. She's
super nice. She's she's ridiculously nice.
Yeah.
Jason did a really good Can You Trust on her. So yeah.
Oh, that's great. Oh,
yeah.
Yeah. You know what's crazy about iJustine? Like, so I suck at watching YouTube videos. I'm really bad at it. I do not watch a lot of YouTube videos. I make a lot and I don't watch a lot. So I was only tangentially aware that she existed. And then I just tweeted some random thing one day where I'm like, going to launch a rocket or something. And she replied. And I was like, oh, who's that? There's like 1.5% girls who follow me. Who's this? And it's like, oh, she has 87 million followers. I guess she's pretty significant. But she just appeared out of nowhere. And I was like, wow, what are you doing paying attention to me? Good for you. I mean, good for me.
Yeah.
Just
both ways.
Yeah, I guess. She seems really great.
She does. And one thing that I kind of, and some people call me like, oh, you're a social justice warrior or, whatever.
Right.
But I use the Can You Trust as an opportunity to talk about sort of the overly intense male bias.
Oh yeah.
in it's not just in tech, it's in a lot of stuff, but
Yeah.
and how I felt like a lot of people just sort of wrote her off as somebody who knows nothing about what she's doing.
Right.
But if you go back and look at how long she's been doing it and what she's done, like she's been doing this stuff for like 12 plus years.
Yeah. She's like a veteran
Yeah.
of the space. Yeah.
Yeah. So
And her audience reflects that.
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So
I
yeah,
think that's great. You gonna have her on next week? Or?
yeah, well, we're recording on the 29th, so
Cool.
this Sunday, I guess that is.
Is
And
it
John
this
Red-
Sunday?
Yeah. Yeah.
Ooh. You may
And,
be on your own.
That's
I'm supposed to be camping.
camping.
Yeah, like in a tent.
You know, we started using tools to build houses, so you didn't have to do that anymore.
But there's gonna be beer, so it's okay.
Okay. Yeah, that doesn't hold sway for me anymore. So, but yeah, she's coming on, and then tomorrow I'm actually doing a one-on-one with John Rettinger. So
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Hey, he is just one of my favorite people. I enjoyed doing a collab with him a few months back, and we had just wanted to do that for years. I'm so
yeah,
glad
I saw that one. It was cool.
Yeah. We've got to do it again. I've got to have him here in Boston because he was a very good host in California for a couple days. So
Cool.
yeah. Well, I'll look forward to that. And yeah, and the painfully honest that you did on me, I will just close out by saying like that came immediately on the heels, and I mean the morning after I had an experience that sort of rattled me a lot.
Right.
I made this really rookie mistake, and I just didn't give a company enough of a heads up before I published a review that I knew was going to be a really negative review.
Mm-hmm.
Generally, the courteous thing to do is, of course, to let them comment, to give them enough time to offer comment.
Okay.
And I didn't. And so it was one of those nights the night before where it's like, I'm at my hometown strawberry festival and I'm supposed to be having a good time with my best friend's kid and, like riding rides. And instead I'm having this like angry phone conversation in the woods. It was one of those things. And after that, I really felt like I had screwed up and I didn't know what I was doing anymore.
Right.
Like I lost it, so that landing at that time that it did was very, very helpful. So,
well, I'm glad. I mean, you are, as Zach had said, you're one of the people that I look to as like, you're just the consummate professional. I can tell that a lot of work goes into the planning of the videos with, you just do a fantastic job.
thank you.
So
I appreciate it.
Yeah, absolutely. And thank you for coming on tonight.
Yeah, thank you.
Anytime, guys. This has been a real pleasure, and I'm sorry for talking your ear off at points, but really, I've had a great time. So thank you.
Yeah, good. I'm glad.
It's been good. Your advice to small creators and what we talked about earlier is going to be very valuable to people, and it's going to definitely help out myself and other people that are still trying to kind of figure our way. And it's kind of good to know that you, even at your height of your success and where you are up, you're at the top here with everybody else, that you still struggle with some of those same things that we're just beginning to touch on. So
every day, yeah.
It's kind of makes you feel good. So yeah,
I'm glad because I don't want it to have the opposite effect of dissuading anyone, because really, like, yeah, it could be stressful, but I absolutely love what I do, and I think you guys can really relate to that.
Right. Yeah. It's like, why would you do it?
Yeah. Why would you put up with all that stress?
Yeah.
If you didn't love it.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, thank you again. Thanks to everybody who was here in the live chat. Sorry we didn't get to as many questions as we might sometimes be able to get to, but the conversation was just really taken off, and really appreciate you guys being here. As I said before, my name is Jason, sometimes known as the JTL. Our guest today has been Mr. Mobile, Michael Fisher, and we have Zach of Zach Talks Tech as our co-host. And until the next time, I'm out.